Carrying on with sexual orientation, we're in Muckle chapter 11 on family. We're on to the sex and gender, on the gender and sexuality here. So heterosexuality involves romantic or sexual attraction to a person of the opposite sex. Homosexuality between partners of the same sex. Bisexual people are attracted to both same and opposite sex partners. Pansexual people are attracted to anyone regardless of gender or sexuality. Polysexual people are attracted to people with multiple sexes or genders. And then asexual people have few to no sexual or romantic feelings. These are all pretty run-of-the-mill, ordinary, established um, patterns for society around the world. And then finally, finishing up with body modification and gender. Body modification can involve makeup. That's modifying your body if you wear makeup. Tattooing, piercing, and scarification. Um, Very often, this scarification involves a rite of passage, a ritual that individuals undergo to show that they've moved from one stage of life to another. They can get scarification done at that time. Scarification involves the skin being cut or burned to create a raised scar. Sometimes modifications can mark gendered status and can be debilitating or limiting. Um, Definitely, modifications that involve the face are limiting in one's what kind of society areas in society that you operate in. I always remember a guy from uh, this is talking about the women who wear the in Southeast Asia who wear the rings around their neck and then they can't go without them because they elongate their muscles in their necks. But I was working once with a sort of secondhand with a guy in Austin, Texas, who had been a very successful corporate lawyer or executive of some sort. He was a really successful guy, but he hated his job working in boardrooms of big corporations and making loads of money. And all he wanted to do was become a tattoo artist. And so he left. He quit his job and opened a tattoo parlor. Um, and but he was always afraid. He was afraid. He said, "Okay, what's going to happen to me a few years down the line if something goes wrong? What's going to keep me out of that corporate boardroom?" And so he had a big Maori facial tattoo over one half of his face, and he said, "Okay, if nothing else, this will keep me out of the boardroom because nobody's going to hire me as an executive with such a big tattoo on my face." So that's not necessarily true anymore. This was 20 years ago. It's entirely possible that he would get hired now, but at the time it seemed like a pretty solid plan. Okay, so that's all for sex and gender. We'll pick it up next week. Thanks so much for watching these. Sex, gender, and kinship. There we go.